TIL. The world's littlest skyscraper in Wichita Falls was built in 1919. Bills, Lisoscrail, Israel, 19, Remote investors were swindled by intentionally not indicating the units on the planned blueprints were in inches, not feet. I too have swindled people into believing something was bigger than it turned out to be once fully erect. From the posted link. The key to Mahan's swindle and his successful defense in the ensuing lawsuit was that legal documents listed the height as 480 inches, as opposed to 480 feet. My favorite part is: construction started 1919, completed 1919, opening 1919. It was also announced for investors in 1919. That's an incredibly short turnaround for a new building, let alone a skyscraper. I feel like the windows should have been a giveaway though. They got spinal tapped. Anyone wondering? 12 four-story building. 12 four-story building. Anyone wondering? So structure them It's a 150-story building. Haha, when I saw this on Wikipedia, I thought someone was making a housing market or inflation joke. Cost 0, 114, 836. 36 in 2020. There's no evidence that any of that actually happened, though hats. Or YouTube. Come or watch. Markson. I want you to know your profile pic worked 100 as you intended. A 484-story building. You would have to think the drawings or documents must have mentioned the levels. Your profile pic, I can't tell you how many times I tried to wipe that eyelash off me screen before I realized. Lol. They were convinced to invest in a skyscraper in Wichita Falls. And the units were the scam. At the time, oil had been discovered nearby, so the area was very popular. To invest in a skyscraper in Wichita Falls, there was an oil boom and office space was in very short supply. I don't know about skyscraper, but multi-story office building made sense. Someone should tell those guys about that great beachside property we've got for sale in Idaho. Everyone thought Wichita Falls was gonna be a lot bigger than it is. I mean, they built one in Waco. From the image it looks like a perfectly serviceable 4-flat. If you are interested in investing in such a thing, it will probably cost $500, $1,500 depending on the neighborhood, at least here in Chicago. But these are Wichita Falls prices, so less. How much did people invest into this again, lol? Nigel gave me a drawing that said 18 inches. That's what happens when you're making plans for Nigel. It was in danger of being crushed by dwarves. Fuck the napkin. Are we going to do stone? Inge tomorrow. And oh, how they danced, the little children of Wichita Falls. But it's not your job to be as confused as Nigelis. Hut. Or wo. YouTube. Come or watch. Or what? Post 5 of Deuce Expo. I really think you are just making much too big a thing out of it. It tended to understate the hugeness of the object. But you're not as confused as him, are you? I mean, it's not your job to be as confused as Nigelis. Thank you to everyone who made the Spinal Tap Stonehenge comments I was hoping to see here. I believe Tom Scott has a video about it. Here it is. Or, YouTube. YouTube. Come or watch. Marksunk. Yes. I was surprised how far I had to scroll to find this haha. The main takeaway from the video is that this story could be true but isn't verified. Scott also proposes that perhaps the story about investors being swindled was accurate, but that the units being misread may simply be urban legend. Redditors, do yourself a favor and subscribe to this guy. His well-researched videos attribute to hundreds of random facts that happen to live in me brain rent-free. Yeah, Tom's takeaway was that basically all the stories about it are absolute bullshit. I went to school in Wichita Falls for 1 year. This is probably one of the more interesting things there. That city does not have much going on. I went there for a work conference. The entertainment that the city set up was a bus that took us to a casino in Oklahoma. I lived there for about 4 years. Honestly, it was awesome form. Quite. No traffic. Cheap. But yeah, not a lot of opportunity for jobs outside retail and customer service. My Air Force Tech school was there. 9-ish months. It was a miserable 9 months, mostly because there was nothing to do off base. I eventually just bought an Xbox and spent me time playing video games. A few years later, they moved our tech school to San Antonio. It made it easy for training so much better. Air Force, too. Can confirm. I lived there for 2 months while I was taking care of a friend who was very ill. She got much better. You could pay me $1 million to go back. Reminds me of the Stonehenge prop in Spinal Tap. Nigel Tufnell had the same issue. I don't think we really need to make a big thing of it. Clicked for Stonehenge. Was not disappointed. Was not disappointed. Stonehenge. TIL, that con man, is short for confidence man. The original scheme that led to the name was the con man convincing people to have sufficient confidence to give him their pocket watch, which he then ran off with. I remember learning about confidence men in the context of new immigrants to the being duped into debt and other terrible situations by people taking advantage of them fresh off the boat. I love this term because it tees together the archaic and modern meanings of confidence. Confidence used to primarily refer to the trust you had in other people, a derivative of to confide. To gain their confidence was to be admitted into their inner circle of trust. That's where confidence man comes from. Someone who gains and then abuses the trust of others. But over time the term morphed into the trust one has in themselves. Confidence isn't really something you give to someone else anymore. It's something you have. And a con man has confidence in spades. I've often wondered if the term confidence man was part of what caused the shift in usage. Has got a lot of confidence could easily mean both owns trusted social standing and their self-surety, and it's easy to imagine how the former could shift into the latter. Was this designed by Bloody Stupid Johnson? Did he design the Archmage's bath? Surprising that all the sources are just newspaper accounts. You'd think someone would have turned up the old court dockets or blueprints. Because it's not true. My son was stationed there in the Air Force and we visited him during Christmas 2020 since they had strict guidelines for COVID flying. We took a picture in front and also visited the falls that were man-made and turned off. Probably looks better turned off. Looks like the one from Willy Wonka most of the time. Love to see me hometown make it to the moon. To you, to you, to Theo Kiki. Hometown make it the moon. Oh shoot, not like this. Blowing up on the Today I Learned sub is the most exciting thing to happen for Wichita folks since the summer the Cowboys came to MSU for summer training camp. Good job, Falls Town. What next? Iowa Park blows on roar mildly interesting. The art of the deal. Is this a building for instance? It needs to be at least 12 times bigger than this. Did they think the windows were going to be massive? Arlen sucks and Wichita Falls rules. Not far from the Wee Hall of Fame. Shout out Wichita Falls. Fake falls, real people. Who is Kay Yeager anyway? No, we're not gonna fucking do Stonehenge. Did nobody count the number of stories in the building or notice that 4 is too few for a skyscraper? I mean, even crows can count to 4. He probably said something to the effect that the architect was still working on the interior plans. It was the 1910s, you could expect 40 stories of blueprints. Okay, but why the hell did they go through and actually build the thing? Why wasted the resources? That's how he got away with the scam. Technically, he built what he promised. Obviously, so the guy could fulfill the contract and keep the money. He used his own crew to build it and made off with the rest of the investors' money. The new Bimmahan building has survived tornadoes of fire and decades of neglect. The building has never met the criteria for the definition of a skyscraper, nor even that of a high-rise building. After its renovation, the building was home to an antiques dealership, the Antique Wood, which opened in 2006 on the ground floor. Since 2013, besides being a local tourist attraction, Hello Again, a furniture and home decor consignment boutique, has occupied the entire building. At times, floors of the skyscraper have been subleased to various local artisans. But has it survived being crushed by Oddworf, swindled by intentionally not indicating the units? And no one thought to question a 36-foot-high window. Architect. I live in Wichita Falls. Who? Me too. Very surprised to see this tonight. Same thing happened to Spinal Tap with their Stonehenge prop. Someone really wanted to build a 480-foot building in Wichita Falls in 1919. I think the tallest building there today is 12 stories. That would have been the tallest building west of the Mississippi at that time. That's a stupid investment any way you look at it. If these guys weren't swindled, they would have gone bankrupt. At least this way Wichita Falls isn't stuck with their own version of the Ryugyong Hotel. Till Littlest is a valid word. Still don't understand why anyone would use it instead of smallest though.